Have you ever found yourself getting like neurotically shamed and guilted by people? And maybe because of that, you have felt so fucking isolated. And you might not even realize what neurotic shame and guilt is. You may have been born into a system that is just exceedingly fucked up, exceedingly toxic, survival based with fight, flight, freeze, fawn. These dynamics may have become so normalized to you, and you may have learned that this is just the way that life is. But then simultaneously, you might start to have insights and realizations. And maybe one of the first, or maybe even potentially last realizations that you have. I mean, these realizations are just ongoing. They just keep happening. All these insights, all of these downloads. You're essentially like waking up from the matrix. But you start to think to yourself through all of this neurotic shame and guilt and all of these fucked up dynamics with people that you might not even see as fucked up. You start to think to yourself, wait a second, I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be brought into this world. I didn't ask to be a fucking screen for people's projections. Just because they lack healthy boundaries, they lack healthy means. I didn't ask for any of this. A rather humorous example of this, in my opinion, is if you've ever gotten a mail notice for jury duty. Oh yeah, you didn't ask to be brought here, and you also didn't ask for, this piece of mail of jury duty. Oh, you are responsible for showing up, and if not, what is the result? I don't know, a fucking fine or jail time. What? I didn't ask you to send me that piece of mail. I didn't ask you to tell me that if I don't show up to something that I didn't agree to, that I would be fined and potentially have jail time. I didn't ask to be born into a fucked up family system that basically sheltered me from healthy ideas, healthy standards, healthy dynamics. Um, it's wild when you're born into this and you also don't learn about your free human agency. It might not even be something that is intentional all the time. There are people out there that are probably so fucked up that they don't want you to know that your worth can be seen by you as intrinsic because that would take the power away from them. Uh, yeah, all of this hierarchical bullshit is just fucking fascinating to me. People put themselves into a system where they give their power away. No, no one else is taking that power away from you. You didn't learn the dynamic of the power that you give to things, to people. It's just fascinating when, like, yes, this video is drastically different from most of the things that I talk about on this channel. I just felt the need to kind of like explore this because um maybe you are unaware that you didn't ask to be born. You didn't ask to be brought into this world. And I'm not about to dive into any, higher power, biblical stuff. Um, Also, I've heard of, I have no idea what the hell they are, but I've heard of like soul contracts and stuff that like a bunch of spiritual gurus talk about. Um, and quite honestly, if there's no evidence or proof, like what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know. I'm just kind of I'm not curious enough to dive into it because my curiosity ends where evidence is not existent. Um And even if there was evidence for it, I would still consider it much of a, like, I don't know, psychotic dynamic. Not claiming fact or truth here or anything. I just like holy fuck, like the things that we don't learn about when we are raised in not only a dysfunctional society, but also dysfunctional family systems that don't teach us about healthy boundaries, individuation, and differentiation. Like, holy shit. Like, I mean, on the subject of, yeah, to, you didn't ask to be brought here. You didn't ask to be brought into this world. You didn't ask to be born. Not saying that you can't learn to enjoy this experience, especially with healthy boundaries, individuation, and differentiation. Because, quite honestly, I mean, in my opinion, survival, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, that shit sucks. Fighting for your personal self expression, running away from pain because you didn't learn how to deal with it. Um, Emotional pain, that is, not anything really beyond that. Uh, don't put yourself in situations that are painful over and over again. Um, you know, shutting down and not understanding your own sense of intrinsic power, people pleasing. Who the fuck wants to live a life pleasing people? You can do what you want to. I'm not here to like shame or guilt anybody out of doing anything. Um, None of that neurotic bullshit. It's just so fascinating. Like, holy fuck. Like, are we aware? Are we aware of all of these things outside of all of the shelter that we were brought into? Because, like, let's make it very clear. If you are raised in a survival based system with fight, flight, freeze, fawn, the likelihood that you're going to learn about your own free human agency is fucking low as hell. We're talking slim to none. Because you didn't get healthy boundaries, you didn't get individuation and differentiation. And because of that, you likely got intertwined, intermingled with somebody else's boundaries, or lack thereof, whatever it is. So you really didn't get to discover your own sense of self in a healthy way. uh, yeah, you probably got neurotic shame and guilt. You ever hear that person say, like, oh, we sacrificed so much just for you? Listen, Karen, I didn't ask to be born. I don't know who the fuck you think you are or what the fuck you think this is. Yeah, I didn't ask to be brought here. Your neurotic shame and guilt is, quite honestly, like, what do you, it's like it's fucking wild, the way that your life can change depending on what it is that you realize, what it is that you understand. A lot of people believe that their worth is somewhere out there. You can do what you want to. You can do whatever it is that you're comfortable and familiar with. However, the way that your life changes when you flip that switch, and I wouldn't say that it happens overnight, but like, believing that you can do something is wild. Not believing that you can do something or believing that you can't do something is also wild. Two completely different outcomes. It really is. Are you aware of your own free human agency? Do you believe that you just have to do everything that everyone hands to you? Are you scared of saying no? I mean, a lot of people, I would argue, don't even consider the reality of, like, yeah, I didn't ask to be brought here. Here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this, and you're just all of a sudden fucking drowning in a bunch of fucking information. Um, Not to mention, in childhood, the non-consensual dynamic of all of the expectations, all of the fucking pressure. Your children are just trying to survive in the survival-based childhood. Yeah, they just want the love. They want the validation, the approval, the acceptance. Mommy, daddy, love me. I'll do whatever you want me to do. That's not healthy. especially when it negates their own healthy, authentic sense of self-expression. Having the boundary of making sure they don't run out into the fucking road and get hit by a car is important, but controlling the way that they express themselves is not. By the way, just because you think that it should or shouldn't be a certain way, fuck, that really contributes to you know, a uh, a fucked up superego. It really does. How about you understand that your child didn't ask to be born, regardless of whatever fucking ideas that you have for that child? Oh, they're gonna do this. They're gonna do that. They're gonna, be this incredible. Oh, wait, hold on a second, Karen. And yes, I use Karen because the stereotype of Karen. It's fun to be humorous about it because these unboundaried people, and Karen is not just female. It's the humorous stereotype for the people that are just fucking oblivious to their own bullshit and their absurd dynamics and standards. Um, yeah, you're I don't know, your valedictorian that you don't understand is only doing what he or she is doing to gain worth is fucking on the edge. They're probably, at the very minimum, drowning in existential dread, but simultaneously having an existential crisis. Are you aware that you didn't ask to be born? I mean, you might think, I don't know, like there are spiritual people out there that, again, like soul contracts, they believe in these things where it's like, oh, you asked for all of this. You asked to be put through all. Like, honestly, where the fuck is your proof? Where is your evidence? I find it hard to even look at any of that stuff because it's like, um, what? Like, even if there is proof or evidence, it would be as illegitimate as any, like, um, like texts and stuff. I'm just going to say texts because I think that people here might understand what I'm referring to when I say that. Uh, yeah. Like, are you aware of the neurotic shame and the guilt if that is what you were born into and raised with? Uh, you have this responsibility. You have that responsibility. Um, what responsibility are we talking about here? If we're talking about the responsibility of, you know, healing the trauma that you didn't ask for, yeah, I mean, quite honestly, your life gets better when you do that. You can absolutely continue to repeat toxic patterns from childhood. By all means, you have free human agency. Do whatever the fuck you want to. I can't imagine that you would rather go throughout your life just carrying around fucked up ideas from boundaryless projections from other people. You know, it's not really that fun. It doesn't taste as delicious as the the burnt fucking roast. Doesn't taste as delicious as the caramel latte. You know, if you're into caramel, maybe it's vanilla, maybe it's strawberry, maybe it's rose. Who the fuck knows? I did not intend for that to rhyme, but here we are. Yeah, I just needed to kind of go on that exploration because it's so fascinating. The things that people are quite actually unaware of. You're drowning in all of these responsibilities. Meanwhile, you might even simultaneously be unaware of the, I don't know, look at it. Did you ask to be born? Did you ask to be brought here? If you were to even sit within that concept, would your reality shatter? Would you have an existential crisis? All of these things that you've committed to, all these things that you've done, and then simultaneously, if you feel the desire to back out of something, are you being neurotically shamed and guilted for changing your mind as you are allowed to change your mind? Are you aware of that? Are you aware that you're allowed to change your mind? Are you aware that you have free human agency?